Greystone Hollow, Pennsylvania, a town cradled by rolling hills and ancient forests, where life moved at a gentle, predictable pace. Children rode bikes under old oaks, neighbors shared coffee, and the loudest sound was a Friday night football game. It was a postcard of American life, almost too perfect. But in the autumn of 2024, a cold wind swept through, bringing unease that settled over the town. People locked their doors earlier, glanced over their shoulders more often. The first to vanish was Leo, a friendly face at the local diner. He finished his shift, walked into the rainy night, and was never seen again. His car was found by the old covered bridge, keys in the ignition. He'd simply vanished. The town hoped for a simple explanation, but deep down, they knew. This was the beginning. The shadow that had lurked at the edges finally fell, covering everything. Laughter faded, porch conversations stopped, and the once bright lights of Greystone Hollow dimmed. The town, once a haven, became a prisoner of silent dread. A quiet terror had taken root, and no one knew where it would strike next. The story was just beginning, and it was a dark one. Greystone Hollow would never be the same. After Leo, others vanished. Sarah, the librarian, Mr. Gable, the rose gardener. Each disappearance left only questions and a growing suffocating fear. No witnesses, no clues, no ransom notes, just silence. Fear became the new normal. The town square emptied after sunset. Parents drove their kids to school, neighbors exchanged wary glances. Rumors spread. Was it a drifter, a monster, or someone they knew? The police were stumped, experts brought in, but the stalker left no trail. Every stranger was a suspect, every creak at night a threat. The victims seemed random, different ages, different lives. But the randomness was the terror. Anyone could be next. The fear wasn't just about the missing, it was about who was left. Trust unraveled, suspicion replaced community. The town's unity, built over generations, vanished, just like their neighbors. Greystone Hollow was unraveling, thread by thread. The darkness was closing in, and no one felt safe. Ivy Whitlow, a school counselor, spent her days helping others. But when her sister Clara, a vibrant artist, became the fourth victim, Ivy's world shattered. The police offered sympathy, but Ivy saw their helplessness. Waiting wasn't an option. She made a silent promise she would find Clara, or who took her. Ivy turned to the heart of the town, its people. She talked to the mailman, the old woman at her window, the bartender. She didn't ask about a stalker. She asked about her sister, about Leo, Sarah, and Mr. Gable. She listened, really listened. In quiet conversations, a faint pattern emerged. The victims weren't random, they were all helpers. Leo gave free meals, Sarah delivered books, Mr. Gable gave away roses, Clara painted murals. They were the lights of Greystone Hollow, and someone was putting them out. Ivy realized the town's kindness was being targeted. The predator was hunting the best among them. Ivy's search for answers became a race against time. She wouldn't let another light go out. The town's hope now rested on her, and she would not fail. Ivy's investigation revealed a chilling pattern. The stalker targeted the town's kindest souls. Their compassion made them vulnerable. The predator used Greystone Hollow's best quality against it. Ivy heard whispers about a quiet newcomer, Arthur. He worked odd jobs, always watching, always present before each disappearance. Arthur was the common thread, the shadow connecting the victims. Ivy took her theory to the police, but it was all circumstantial. Arthur had a weak alibi, but nothing concrete. The police warned Ivy to stay home, but she knew time was running out. Her search led to the next likely target, the town's music teacher, known for his generosity. Arthur had recently worked at the music school. Ivy realized the stalker would strike again, soon. The police couldn't act, so she would. She prepared to face the hunter herself. The final confrontation was coming. On a cold, moonless night, Ivy waited outside the school where the music teacher worked late. She watched as Arthur slipped inside, moving like a predator. Ivy didn't call for help. She left her phone line open to 911 and acted. She turned on every exterior light, flooding the building with brightness. The darkness that shielded Arthur vanished. The music teacher, startled, saw Ivy in the light. Realizing he'd been saved, Arthur, caught in the glare, panicked and fled. But the trap was set. The open 911 call, the teacher's testimony, Arthur's flight, it was enough. Police apprehended Arthur within the hour. In his basement, they found evidence linking him to all the victims. The town exhaled, relief and sorrow mingling in the cold air. Yet as the days passed, whispers returned. Some townsfolk looked over their shoulders, uneasy, as if the real threat still lingered. A mysterious figure was seen at the edge of town, someone no one recognized. On the evidence board, new clues appeared, details that didn't fit Arthur's story. Greystone Hollow waited, breath held, as the shadow lingered, its story unfinished. After Arthur's arrest, Greystone Hollow tried to return to normal, but for some, the shadows never truly left. In the weeks that followed, police collected dozens of statements, each stranger than the last. First statement, Mrs. Ellery, local librarian. I heard footsteps in the archive room late at night. I thought it was the wind, but the steps were too heavy, too deliberate. When I went to look, a cold draft swept past me, and the books on the bottom shelf had been pulled out, arranged in a circle. Second statement, Tommy, age 10. There was a face in my window. It smiled at me, but it wasn't happy. I called for my mom, but when she came, it was gone. She says it was a dream, but I know what I saw. Third statement, Mr. Carlson, night janitor at the school. Every night around 2, I hear music. It's always the same tune. Something old, something sad. I follow it, but the music room is empty. Sometimes I see a girl's shadow moving across the walls. When I call out, the lights flicker and the shadow disappears. Fourth statement, anonymous caller. They say the monster's gone, but something's still here. I hear whispers when I walk home. They call my name just like before. I don't think it's over. The official reports say the terror ended with Arthur's capture, but the people of Greystone Hollow know better. Some wounds run too deep for the night to heal, and in the silence new voices have begun to whisper, reminding everyone that darkness once invited in is never truly gone. In the aftermath, the case of Greystone Hollow shifted from rumor to record. Behind closed doors, investigators pieced together what little sense they could from the chaos. Detective Monroe, transcript April 11th, 10:32 p.m. Let's go over this again. The note was found where? Officer Patel. Taped to the back of the church door, no fingerprints, just these odd symbols, like runes. Detective Monroe. And the object? Officer Patel. In the evidence locker, looks like a doll, but the face is wrong. It's stitched shut. The evidence grew stranger by the day. Each item a piece of a puzzle that refused to fit. Audio log #14, recovered from school basement 2:17 a.m., unidentified voice. It's cold down here, I keep hearing the music. Please, if anyone finds this, Detective Monroe. We have to consider the possibility that Arthur wasn't working alone. Officer Patel. Or that something else is out there. The statements don't match up. They never did. The official line remained. Case closed. But behind every report, every sealed file, the truth whispered, unsettled, unfinished. The shadows in Greystone Hollow had left their mark, and the case files told a story no one wanted to believe. The files were supposed to bring clarity, but Greystone Hollow was never meant for easy answers. Days after the case was declared closed, new evidence surfaced, delivered in a plain envelope, slipped under the police station's locked door. Inside, a photograph, grainy and dark. It showed the church at midnight, but in the window, a silhouette that matched no one in the case. Detective Monroe's voice caught on a late-night recorder. This changes everything. The timestamp is from the night after Arthur's arrest. He couldn't have been there, so who was? Streetlights flicker as Officer Patel walks the empty roads, replaying the timeline in his mind. Behind him, a shadow lingers. Just out of reach, just beyond the light. Meanwhile, the evidence board grows crowded. New red string, new faces, and a name that was never mentioned in the files, Elena Ward. No one remembers her moving to the Hollow, yet her address appears again and again in the background of witness statements. A final, chilling clue. The doll from the evidence locker is missing. Its sealed face replaced by a single open eye. The case is no longer about what happened, it's about what's still happening. As the camera lingers on the unsolved evidence board, the question hangs in the air. What if the real story of Greystone Hollow is only just beginning? The town hall is packed, faces old and new, eyes wide with anticipation and fear. Ivy stands beside Detective Monroe and Officer Patel, the weight of Greystone Hollow's secrets pressing down on their shoulders. On a long table, the evidence is laid out for all to see, the photograph, the altered doll, and the files that refuse to add up. Monroe's voice trembles as he addresses the crowd. We thought we knew the truth, but tonight, you deserve to hear everything. He gestures to Ivy, who steps forward clutching a worn notebook, her sister's diary. Her voice shakes as she reads passages that reveal hidden friendships, midnight meetings, and whispered threats that were never brought to light. One by one, townsfolk rise. Mrs. Ellery, her hands twisting a faded handkerchief, admits to seeing Elena Ward in the church on nights no one could account for. Mr. Crane, the postman, confesses he delivered letters marked "Return to Sender," all addressed to Elena, all from different names. As the tension builds, Officer Patel reveals a new piece of evidence, a key, found inside the missing doll's hollow body, engraved with the same symbol seen in the photograph's church window. Gasps ripple through the hall as the implications settle in. Suddenly the lights flicker. A voice from the back, unfamiliar, trembling, speaks up. "You're looking in the wrong place. The real answer isn't in the files. It's in us. In what we choose to forget." The camera pans over the stunned faces. Secrets are out, trust is shattered, and nothing will ever be the same. The final testimony is not an ending but an opening. One last unanswered question echoing in the silent room. What if the truth is something Greystone Hollow can never bear to face? The rain hammers against the police station's windows as the clock creeps toward midnight. In a stark interrogation room, Ivy sits across from Elena Ward, the woman whose name has haunted every page of the investigation. Elena's eyes are hollow, darting between Ivy and Detective Monroe, her hands cuffed tightly on the table. A transcript flashes on screen. Detective Monroe: "Elena, we know you were there the night Elena disappeared. The doll, the key, the church window. It all leads back to you." Elena's voice is barely a whisper. "Elena, you don't know what you're asking. Some things are meant to stay buried." Tension mounts as Officer Patel returns, clutching a box of evidence recovered from Elena's crumbling home. Inside, photographs of the victims, pages torn from Ivy's sister's diary, and a second identical key. Ivy's breath catches. The pieces are falling into place. Cut to police footage. Gloved hands pry open a floorboard in Elena's house, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, a faded church ledger, names crossed out in red ink, including Ivy's sisters. Voice trembling, Ivy confronts Elena. "Ivy, why did you keep their secrets? Why did you let them disappear?" Elena finally meets Ivy's gaze, a single tear tracing down her cheek. "Elena, because I was afraid, because I loved them, because Greystone Hollow isn't what it seems." The room is silent. The truth is out. But it's more disturbing than anyone imagined. The camera lingers on Ivy's face, torn between relief and horror, as the weight of the revelation settles in. Behind the glass, Monroe and Patel exchange grim looks. The case is cracked open, but the darkness inside is deeper than they ever feared. As the music swells, the faceless narrator asks, "What would you do if the person you trusted most was part of the secret?" In Greystone Hollow, no one is truly innocent. Fade to black. Rain-soaked dawn breaks over Greystone Hollow as the investigation's final threads are woven together. In the evidence room, Ivy, Monroe, and Patel gather around a table crowded with files, photographs, and the haunting ledger. Their faces are drawn, eyes reflecting sleepless nights, and the burden of truth. As Monroe lays out the timeline, the screen flickers with flashbacks. Arthur, the trusted groundskeeper, seen in grainy security footage, always in the background, always watching. But it was Elena, pulling the strings from the shadows, orchestrating every move, every disappearance. Police records, witness statements, and the torn pages from Ivy's sister's diary converge, each piece confirming the chilling reality. Arthur was never the mastermind, but a pawn shaped by Elena's fear and manipulation. Patel reads aloud from a witness statement, voice trembling. She told him the town would turn on him if he didn't help. She promised she would protect him, just like she protected the others. Ivy's hand tightens around the key, the symbol of every unanswered question. The camera cuts to the townspeople as news spreads. Gasps, tears, and embraces ripple through Greystone Hollow. Relief mixes with disbelief. The nightmare is over, but its scars remain. In a final flashback, Ivy's sister's laughter echoes softly, fading into the present as Ivy stands beneath the old church window, sunlight breaking through the stained glass. The mystery is resolved, but the cost is etched on every face. As the music swells, the faceless narrator's voice returns, gentler now. In the end, truth is never simple. It hides in shadows, waiting for courage to bring it to light. In Greystone Hollow, justice comes at a price, but hope, at last, begins to grow. Fade out, as Ivy steps into the morning, the town behind her forever changed. As the last storm clouds drift away, Greystone Hollow breathes again. The wounds of the past remain, but healing begins to take root. Ivy walks the quiet streets, stopping at doorways where grief once echoed loudest. She offers gentle words, embraces, and, for the first time in months, the truth. Families listen, tears falling, but there is comfort in knowing. The weight of uncertainty has lifted. On the police station wall, a new document is pinned. Case closed. Monroe and Patel share a quiet glance, their exhaustion mingling with relief. In the break room, laughter returns, hesitant but real. That evening, the town gathers in the square beneath old lanterns. Candles flicker in trembling hands. Faces turn to the memorial, where names are etched in stone. Ivy stands with the others, the key now hanging from her neck, a symbol not of loss, but of memory and resilience. Patel reads the names aloud. Each one is met with silence, then applause, a promise that they will not be forgotten. Ivy's eyes close as she remembers her sister's laughter, now joined by the voices of an entire community choosing hope. As the sun sets, children chase fireflies and music drifts through open windows. Greystone Hollow is changed but not broken. In the warmth of shared grief and newfound hope, the town begins at last to heal. Fade out on the memorial, candles glowing softly in the night. Months have passed since the shadows lifted from Greystone Hollow. Now, dawn breaks gently over rooftops, painting the town in hues of gold and promise. The scars remain, but they are softened by time and the kindness that followed. Ivy stands at her window, watching the world wake. Birds call from the trees and laughter rings out as children hurry past on their way to school. She breathes in the quiet peace, remembering every step of the journey, the fear, the loss, and the courage that brought them through. In her hand, Ivy holds a letter, her own witness statement. She speaks softly, her words carried on the morning breeze. Greystone Hollow is not the same as it was. We have lost, but we have also found strength in each other. We learned that even in the darkest nights, hope can survive. That the truth, though painful, can set us free. And that healing is possible when we choose to face the shadows together. The camera drifts through the town, past the police station, the schoolyard, the now bustling market square. Faces once marked by sorrow now glow with quiet determination. The memorial remains, but it is surrounded by flowers and laughter. Ivy's voice continues. To anyone who has known fear, who has lost their way, remember, morning always comes, and with it, the chance to begin again. As the sun rises higher, Greystone Hollow is bathed in warm, hopeful light. A new chapter has begun, one written not in fear but in resilience, unity, and love. Fade out on Ivy, smiling softly as the town embraces its new day. End of story. Just as Greystone Hollow begins to heal, darkness creeps once more along its quiet streets. It starts with a single chilling event, the sudden disappearance of a beloved teacher, Mrs. Calloway. At first, the town is gripped by disbelief. Surely after all they've endured, such tragedy couldn't strike again. But the evidence is undeniable. Mrs. Calloway's car is found abandoned at the edge of the forest, her personal belongings scattered nearby. Rumors swirl like autumn leaves. Whispers slip through the market and schoolyard, each tale more twisted than the last. This time the clues are different, unsettling. A torn scarf, a set of muddy footprints leading away from the scene, and, most disturbingly, a locket belonging to Ivy's younger brother, Sam. Conflicting witness statements flood the police station. Some claim to have seen Sam arguing with Mrs. Calloway the day before. Others insist he was at home playing chess with Ivy. The town's newfound unity begins to fracture. Neighbors eye each other with suspicion. Old wounds reopen as paranoia spreads, threatening to undo the fragile peace that had just begun to take root. Ivy is torn between loyalty and doubt. Her heart screams Sam's innocence, but the mounting evidence gnaws at her resolve. In a desperate bid for answers, she retraces Mrs. Calloway's last steps, uncovering a hidden journal tucked away in the teacher's desk. The final entry reveals a long-held secret, one that links Mrs. Calloway to the very heart of the Hollow's past mysteries. As Ivy reads, realization dawns. The shocking truth, the real culprit is neither Sam nor any of the usual suspects. Instead, the clues point to someone the town had trusted implicitly, someone who helped bring light back to Greystone Hollow. The camera lingers on Ivy's stunned face as the weight of betrayal settles in, turning hope to fear once more. Fade out on the town, tense and uncertain, as a storm gathers overhead. The story is far from over. Darkness coils around Greystone Hollow, not just in the shadows outside, but within the walls of every home. The disappearance of Mrs. Calloway has sown seeds of suspicion that take root in the hearts of neighbors, friends, and families. A mother turns away from her oldest friend at the bakery, their laughter replaced by wary glances. In the schoolyard, children whisper and point, friendships splintering beneath the weight of rumors. Doors that once stood open now close early, the sound of locks clicking echoing through empty streets. Inside the Harper home, Ivy sits at the kitchen table, her hands trembling around a cold cup of tea. Across from her, Sam stares at the floor, his eyes rimmed red with sleeplessness. Their father paces, frustration and fear etched into every line of his face. The silence is thick, words unsaid, accusations unspoken. Cut to families arguing behind closed curtains, voices raised in desperation. A father demands answers from his daughter, convinced she knows more than she admits. Friends cross the street to avoid one another, old alliances crumbling beneath the pressure of doubt. Finally, Ivy stands alone beneath the ancient oak at the town's edge, rain beginning to fall. She draws a shaky breath, glancing up at the storm-dark sky. When the darkness first came to Greystone Hollow, we clung to each other. We believed that if we stood together, we could chase away our fears. But now, with every secret uncovered, every truth revealed, I wonder, what is the real cost of knowing? Is it worth tearing ourselves apart just to find the answers? I love my brother. I want to believe in him, in all of us. But the truth is a knife. It cuts through lies, but it also wounds the ones we love. How do we heal when we don't even know who to trust? How do we find the light when every shadow could be hiding another betrayal? I'm so tired of being afraid. Her words hang in the air, mingling with the sound of distant thunder. As Ivy wipes a tear from her cheek, the camera pans over the hollow, windows glowing faintly, figures moving behind curtains, each person alone with their doubts. Greystone Hollow is no longer united by hope, but divided by fear. The rain hasn't stopped. It taps against Ivy's window as she sits, sleepless, staring at the storm. But tonight, something catches her eye. A loose floorboard beneath her bed, revealed by a trickle of water. With trembling hands, she pries it open. Inside, wrapped in oilskin, is a battered leather diary. The initials EC are pressed into the cover. Ivy opens to the first page. The ink is hurried, confessional. She begins to read, and with each word, the secrets of Greystone Hollow spill out into the night. I saw Mr. Bell leaving the Calloway garden the night she vanished. He said he was looking for his dog, but I heard voices, angry, desperate. Mrs. Harper found the locket by the riverbank. She never told anyone. She said it would only make things worse. Sam, I know what you did in the woods. I saw you bury something, then swear never to speak of it again. Even I am not innocent. I lied to protect someone I love. I said I was home that night, but I wasn't. If the truth comes out, it will ruin us all. As Ivy reads, the camera moves through the hollow, each confession casting fresh suspicion, every secret another thread in the tangled web binding the town together. The diary's final entry is written in a shaking hand. Greystone Hollow is built on secrets, but secrets rot, they fester, and now the darkness is coming for us all. Ivy closes the diary, her breath shallow. The truth is deeper and darker than she ever imagined. The storm outside rages on, but inside a new storm is brewing. The diary's revelations threaten to shatter what little trust remains. In Greystone Hollow, no one is truly innocent, and now, no one is safe. Cut to black as a single page flutters loose, landing at Ivy's feet. The words, "Forgive me." The next night the rain has finally eased, but the tension in Greystone Hollow is unrelenting. Inside the old town hall, villagers crowd together, faces drawn, eyes darting, trust eroded. The mayor's gavel echoes, barely silencing the rising tide of voices. "You can't just accuse people without proof. That diary could belong to anyone. We all know who was seen near the river that night. Why isn't anyone talking about her? My family has lived here for generations. You think I'd hurt one of my own?" The camera pans across Ivy clutching the diary, her knuckles white. Mrs. Harper sobs quietly in the back. Mr. Bell stares at the floor, jaw clenched. "Please, we're here to find answers, not to tear each other apart." A heated argument erupts. Accusations flying, secrets hinted at but not spoken aloud. The community is unraveling, suspicion poisoning every glance. Suddenly, Sam stands holding a small mud-stained object in his hand. He places it on the table, a silver locket, scratched and glinting under the harsh lights. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Mrs. Harper's face drains of color. That's hers. That's Calloway's locket. The room falls silent, eyes fixed on the locket. But inside, instead of a picture, there's a torn scrap of paper. Words smudged but visible. Trust no one. The meeting erupts again. Questions, accusations, fear. The locket's message is a warning, or perhaps a threat. In Greystone Hollow, the only certainty is that the truth is more dangerous than anyone imagined. The camera lingers on Ivy's face, the diary pressed to her chest as thunder rolls in the distance. Night has fallen once more over Greystone Hollow. The storm outside has faded to a gentle drizzle, but inside the dimly lit attic of her family home, Ivy sits alone, her knees drawn to her chest, the diary and locket resting side by side on the floorboards. Candlelight flickers casting trembling shadows across the walls. She replays every moment in her mind. The accusations, the terror in Mrs. Harper's eyes, the cryptic warning tucked inside the locket. Trust no one. The words echo louder than the thunder ever did. Ivy opens the diary again, running her fingers over the final unfinished entry. There are missing pages, torn out, hidden, or destroyed. She wonders who else has held these secrets and what truths are still buried in the silence. From the window, she watches the empty streets, rainwater pooling in the gutters. Somewhere a dog barks. A figure moves briefly in the shadows, vanishing before Ivy can be sure she saw anything at all. Her breath catches. Is it paranoia, or has something, or someone, been watching all along? As the candle sputters, Ivy whispers into the darkness. "What have we started?" The camera pulls back, leaving her silhouette framed against the glass, alone with her doubts. Outside, thunder rumbles again, softer but promising the storm is not truly over. In Greystone Hollow, some answers are never found, some wounds never heal, and sometimes the shadows return, with new secrets to keep. The screen fades to black, a single question lingering in the silence. Who will be the next to disappear? As dawn breaks over Greystone Hollow, golden sunlight spills across rooftops and rain-washed streets. The storm has passed, but its memory lingers in the hush of morning. Ivy stands at the old bridge, the diary and locket clasped in her hands. She gazes at the river below, her reflection softer now, no longer haunted but filled with hope. Across the square, neighbors gather, once divided by fear, now drawn together by shared experience. Quiet smiles and gentle embraces replace suspicion. Ivy's family finds each other in the crowd. Mrs. Harper, her eyes bright with relief, pulls her daughter and son into a long embrace. Old wounds begin to heal, stitched together by forgiveness and love. In the chapel, candles are lit, not for mourning, but as beacons of hope. The names of those lost are spoken with reverence, their memories honored in the gentle glow. Outside, laughter returns. Children chase each other through puddles, their voices echoing where silence once dwelled. Neighbors work side by side, painting fences, planting flowers, rebuilding what was broken. Ivy walks through the heart of Greystone Hollow, greeted by friends old and new. She knows some mysteries may never be solved and some scars may never fully fade, but the town endures, bound by memory, courage, and the will to heal. As the sun rises higher, the townspeople gather for a final time in the square. Hands join, voices rise in song and laughter, and hope shines brighter than ever before. In the end, it was not the shadows that defined Greystone Hollow, but the light its people chose to share. As Ivy looks up at the sky, a gentle breeze stirs the leaves, carrying a promise. After the darkest storms, hope returns. The screen fades to gold. Thank you for walking this path with us. Wherever you are, may you find your own light after the rain.